And welcome back. This is CCP Fozzie, joined by Elise Randolph. I hope all of your heart rates have slowed down a little bit after that last match. And we're getting ready for the next one for you. It's Methodical Alliance versus End of Life. A very interesting setup for Methodical Alliance here. They've brought a Paladin, triple Rattlesnake, triple Jaguar, and a Tristan. Why don't you tell us a little bit about End of Life, Elise?
End of Life took a more traditional setup that we've seen today with the triple EOS core with some Navy Vexers and Ishkurs and some Punisher for tackle with an Onirios. They came in at range. Both teams came in at range, but because they came in at basically the same type of beacon, they're actually really, really close to one another. So probably going to see a lot of explosions and maybe even some other sort of fireworks.
The match has begun. The Paladin immediately went into Bastion mode, which is what you'd expect for a Paladin that doesn't need to move and that doesn't have any logistics with him. And the Rattlesnakes are cap transferring to each other. So it looks like these Rattlesnakes are going to try to do a kind of a local tank tinker with each other. We'll see how well that works for them.
That's actually very, very clever. End of Life has rep drones out, and see if Methodical can be clued in on this and start shooting those things, because with the amount of rep drones they have, it's going to be tough to break anything.
Mm-hmm. The End of Life EOS of Lindsay is taking a bunch of damage, but is holding up pretty well in the tank. He's got reps on him from the Oniros. EOSs, of course, have very good resists, like all command ships, and so he's not going to be very easy to take down. We'll have to see whether the Methodical guys keep focusing on him or whether they give up eventually and switch, because he is hanging on pretty well at about 60% armor.
Yeah, those drones, that Onirios and an EOS just by itself is really good. You see these Punishers taking a little bit of just incidental damage. End of Life now swapping over to, or getting primaried of their own by another EOS.
Yep, it looks like
Methodical just kind of swapping
switching some targets. Meanwhile, End of Life is going to try to take down the frigs, which is a pretty smart move because these frigates don't have any logistics to keep them alive, and they're providing the webs that are helping slow down all of the EOSs, and that will eventually slow down the Vexers and the Neros when they're going to be taking fire from the big ships. So knocking the tackle off the field is a very good choice here, and will help them focus on the big ships.
Yeah, absolutely. As we say that the two Jaguars just melt, third one gone, Jaguar's gone. There are no bursts or anything fancy to rep those guys up. No rep drones coming from the End of Life team.
So
from the Methodical team.
General Vachot in the EOS is into structure now. He is going down. He's standing perfectly still on top of this Paladin instead of orbiting it. I really don't know why he's not moving. Yeah, there we go. He's dropped and he's gone.
Boom goes the dynamite on that one.
So he was webbed initially by the Jaguars, but then when the Jaguars died, the web came off him, and I was really expecting him to suddenly pick up speed, make himself harder to hit, because he was right beside a Paladin with pulse lasers. And if he just orbited, it would have reduced the damage quite a lot.
Yeah, and another thing, these Rattlesnakes look like they even have newts going as well. They're throwing on just whoever they're primarying. They're going after another EOS. They're saying, screw your rep drones, even though... Actually, no, I take that back. They've killed a few of the rep drones.
Yeah, the EOSs, meanwhile, they're primarying the Paladin. So End of Life is focusing all their damage on the Paladin, which is apparently just not noticing the damage at all. It is just sort of sitting there... feeling perfectly fine with itself. It went through shields. It's being neuted by the EOSs, as those EOSs themselves are being neuted by the Rattlesnakes. But it's hanging very pretty right now.
Yeah, wow, this is crazy. This Paladin is now sitting pretty. They've got two EOSs down. It can almost solo tank everything left on the field as they're going for the third EOS.
So at this
is
point,
like an upset in the making right here.
Yeah, this Methodical Alliance setup, I honestly was not expecting all that much out of it. I mean, they obviously had a plan to local tank the big ships and the Paladin and not care too much about losing the frigates, and that plan is just working out perfectly for them. I think it's partially because of some poor choices by the End of Life. Focusing on the Paladin at this point in the game seems like not the greatest idea, because they're obviously not able to break it, and we're still seeing a lot of damage going, or at least the newt's still being applied to it. Meanwhile, the last EOS for End of Life is about to go down. It's in structure now.
Yeah, you can see that they're not even focusing on the Oniros. They're just saying, well, we'll just plow through everything, and there it goes. EOS down.
Yep, so they're now focusing most of the end-of-life damage that's remaining on the first of the Rattlesnakes here, and it is slowly dropping, but I don't think it's going to be enough. At this point, all there is that's dealing a lot of damage is these two Vexor Navy issues.
Yeah, if these Rattlesnakes have a cap chain going, they should be able to run their local tank indefinitely. I don't see many newts or anything from the end of life team to affect that at all. Still, the rattlesnake is breaking. Obviously, if they could have this one back, they'd probably be shooting the rattlesnake from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of a tough call to make, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what they might have been afraid of is that if the fight went very long and the Paladin was still alive, that the Paladin could beat them on points, because that's always the danger of a Bastion Marauder. If it's alive at the end of the fight and when you have much of your DPS off the field, it can just become impossible to kill them. But in this case, their better bet might have been to try to knock down some of these rattlesnakes and then try to win on points by just keeping range from the Paladin. As we see, there are Neros now going down, and after that, I'm sure the rest of the team's going to fall apart pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is an amazing showing from the Methodical Alliance. They're making veteran decision-making, going after the Oneros right now when they realize that, hey, we might lose a rattlesnake here. We got to at least trade it for these Oneros so we can have a chance for the end game.
Yeah, they're making excellent choices all around. They built a setup that isn't made for trading a lot of ships really quickly. Doesn't have the highest damage, but it's a very strong tank and good staying power. The Paladin especially when it's in Bastion is immune to damps and tracking disruptors, which means there's nothing you can really do to prevent that damage from coming onto your team, especially when you're standing still beside it. And so the Methodical Alliance has, shall I say it methodically, been able to just pick apart the end of life team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even then, this Paladin, they had an answer for everything. This Paladin's got smart bombs in his highs. He is killing all of the drones coming from end of life. And so even if the fight was long and drawn out, still looking okay. This rattlesnake belonging to Targ something. Taking
a long time to die. He's boosting again.
He's probably going to go down, but too little too late. Who cares if he dies? I think this Paladin can just solo the rest of the team right now.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think that's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point, especially considering that the Paladin almost doesn't need to kill anything else. All he has to do is survive, and he'll win the match on points. And as this Vexor Navy issue goes down, they're going to be trading the first of their rattlesnakes for a Vexor Navy. That's actually a bigger loss, really, at this point for End of Life, because that's almost half of the DPS off of End of Life's team.
Yeah, exactly. This Algos is taking damage, too. Just like the rattlesnakes have some guards out, so that's what's doing most of the damage and projecting. You don't always see sentry drones on rattlesnakes. We haven't today seen that all the time, but this is working really well. Vexor down. There's only one Navy Vexor left. I think this Paladin is just kind of maybe celebrating a little bit, not repping. There we go, one giant.
Yeah,
one giant.
He didn't want to over-rep with his gigantic Marauder bonus in Bastion. Marauders, of course, have incredibly strong tanks, which makes them very good for this tournament, which is why they have a huge point cost. That's the reason why you see Methodical Alliance bringing fewer than 12 pilots and having no logistics and no command ships. They just didn't have the points to do it after fielding the huge amount of points in a Paladin and 3 rattlesnakes.
This is a really just a clever setup. I like it quite a bit. And End of Life aren't some scrubby team either. The only people they lost to last year were Hydra and Hun, tournament royalty basically. Yeah,
and I came into this match predicting that the End of Life was going to be taking it, and after seeing the setups on the field, I was still predicting that End of Life was going to take it. But Methodical Alliance came in and just executed on their game plan really, really effectively, as we see them finish off another Frigg there, and it's really just now a matter of time. They're probably going to be able to finish off the last 2 remaining ships before time runs out.
Absolutely. So total wipe. And this Rattlesnake, I guess maybe he just said, you know what, I don't need to rep. This is going to be cool. Chicks dig a little bit of structure damage, so he wants to get some flames.
Yep. The Navy Vexor is now kind of slowly moving through armor, and he's not moving very fast. He knows that there's not going to be a lot that he can do to keep this match going, so he's just going to let himself get killed. There he goes. That beautiful, beautiful Paladin, you don't get a chance to see them in PvP as much because of the fact that they cost a whole lot of ISK, but it's one of my favorite looking ships in the whole game. I love the animation. I love the Cartham paint job on all Marian ships, and it fits so well with the Paladin.
If Iron Man could fly a ship, he would fly the Paladin.
Yes, he would. So with that, we have 1 minute left, and the final Ishkur is just burning himself around here, and I'm sure will end up getting knocked down pretty soon. He's trying to keep himself going fast enough to be hard to track. We only have one more match now before the break, so this is the the second last match before the midday break for this second day. The last match will be Gorgon Empire versus the Nameless Alliance, which is another one that I'm really looking forward to because Gorgon Empire has a lot of the old Dark Side team members, and so it'll be good to see what they can do for this alliance tournament.
Yep, and Gorgon Empire have banned just a Vexer and Navy Vexer, and Nameless banned Worm and Gila, so probably not going to see many drones in the next match.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. It's 20 seconds left, and that Ishkur is into structure now, and he's about to explode. And that will be the match there. And once that last ship goes off the field, we will send you to some ads, some GTChem, and then get you right back here for Gorgon Empire versus the Nameless Alliance.